Good morning. Live here. Making adjustments. People tell me about the audio. I didn't get the microphone out because I want to hear everybody hear the birds. It's pretty peaceful out here right now. Got notifications. Let's see what that sounds like. And then the reason why I'm doing this on StreamYard is because testing. And then the reason why I'm doing this on StreamYard. The reason why I'm doing this on StreamYard is I want to record this and then maybe cut it up, because live streams can be kind of, I don't know, taxing to listen to. So here we are. But anyways, I'll be right back. Hold on. Man, I've been fighting this allergy/cold. It's either severe allergies or a very, 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 very mild cold. Let's see. I don't expect a whole lot of people in here, which is fine. TJ, good morning. How's the carnivore diet? We're going to talk about that today. How's the carnivore diet going for you? Here's my mug of the day. Empire Strikes Back. I found this at the Ameristar Casino in Kansas City, in the gift shop. It was like $10. Pretty good deal. It's got one little chip in it though, which kind of sucks, but anyways, it's going good. So that's part of my confessional is I want to talk about my weight gain, what I've been doing wrong, and how I'm back on track. So we're going to talk about that. We'll get some more people in here. If you don't mind, share this out, because this is going to be a pretty real video. Not that I'm fake or anything with the other ones, but I've admitted that I've strayed a little bit on the keto, and I've learned a few things, because whenever you fall, you learn from your mistakes and you get back up and you get going again. And I've learned quite a bit, and I'll tell you the challenges, and I'll tell you the victories, and I'll tell you the things that I'm still learning. So 60 days on carnivore trucker seals, awesome. That's very awesome. I love hearing that, because what I have figured out over the last several years is that the establishment is against you. And I hope that you guys went and listened to the Ken Berry seminar that he did over at Matt's. I hope that you guys watched that video that's on this channel, because he reflected something that I've been learning about the establishment, and how it's all designed to keep us cash cows, how it's all designed to keep you sick. There's a lady, I shared the video on my other channel in the community page. I shared a video about this lady who, she was big, had to use one of them walker things, those rolling walker things. And she's been carnivore for 265 days, and she's cured almost everything. She went from 16 comorbidities to 5. And you know what that spells? That spells less money for the pharmaceutical companies, that spells less money for the processed food companies. I've watched processed food companies destroy my life, destroy a lot of people's lives. And the minute that you can lift that fog of slavery, I think that's beneficial, right? CDN, what's up, man? Let's do some shout outs and then I'll get into this, because this is a true confessional. This is going to be kind of revealing, especially if you're new to the channel. Let's do some shout outs, and then I'm recording this on StreamYard, so I'll probably try to cut this up so we can not have all this filler. But Boulder Woods, good morning. Trucker Seals, Daryl Worth, Flatbed Trucker, Oh No, Mr. Bill, Cheap Freight Hauler, DIY Semi, good to see you in here. CDM Freight Broker. I was going to use the microphones, but I feel like it would filter out the birds, and that's kind of what I want for this video. Dr. Barry is awesome. He is. I've met him. At first I was like, he's kind of standoffish, or you get that vibe. But being a performer myself before a show, I would not really want to get involved in any conversations with anybody right before we go on. And so I would just kind of stand by myself and just kind of build this up, think about what I was going to say, think about the song list and all that. And I think he was kind of doing the same thing, because afterwards he was very approachable. He was real positive, encouraging words to me, because I told him how I faltered on my weight loss. And he said, you know what, but you're still down 90 pounds, right? What other diet in the world can allow you to do this? This shows you just how powerful this processed food has on people. He was very encouraging, and that's what I'm going to get into. So those of you who are new, go back about 4 or 5 years, 6 years on my channel, on my big channel, big channel. You'll see that I was close to 400 pounds, and I was not happy. I was depressed. I spent my evenings in the truck eating Popeyes and watching Family Guy on Netflix. I mean, it was just, it was not healthy at all, right? I was fighting some stress. I was fighting depression. Even though my business was doing pretty good, I was fairly happy at Schneider running their freight. It was pretty, at least at the time, I thought was stress-free, but evidently I was fighting something. I'm a boredom eater. I'm a stress eater. I'm a habitual eater. Like, I don't even have to be hungry, and I'll want to go in and buy breakfast burritos. That's my weakness, is breakfast burritos and McDonald's breakfast was big with me, that kind of thing. And then one day I just got fed up. I did a video called The Struggle is Real on the other channel. I don't have any moderators in here, but I was angry. I was upset, and I changed. I lost 120 pounds over the course of a year. Learned a lot about myself, learned a lot about health, went down some rabbit holes when it comes to fasting, ketogenic, carnivore, and even the vegan thing. I never went vegan other than the juice fast I did years and years ago, but I learned what you basically have to relearn what's old, right? If you look at human history, we were not meant to eat 8 times a day. We were not meant to eat processed carbs or processed food in general. We were not meant to do those things. And so what you figure out is in the mid 80s that they got us away from our natural human diet, or proper human diet, as Dr. Ken Berry calls it. And we are metabolically getting destroyed for profit. And so there was a rebellious side to me, me being a metalhead, and just, I was angry. I was upset. So about a year ago, my weight loss plateaued. I got down to 256 pounds. I did a 5K with the wife and daughter, and that felt good. That was pretty cool. So but then I'm not sure what switched. I think part of it was I got off the road. I actually gained weight. A lot of people are like, well, when I get off the road, I'll be able to lose my weight. No, to me, it didn't work like that. Last year, I only did 8 runs. I haven't done a run yet this year. And being at home has, I've strayed a little bit. Now, I am completely anti-sugar. There were still a couple of cheese, like birthday parties. Every now and then I'd sneak a little donut hole at church or whatever. But for the most part, I stayed away from that because I believe that sugar feeds cancer wholeheartedly. And so it's easier for me to avoid that. But the breads, the seed oils, the starchy vegetables like potatoes, fries, I noticed myself upticking a little bit on them. And I realized that some old bad habits were starting to wedge their way in, because what you learn is that these foods are addictive. They are meant to be addictive. There's that study years ago that the guy with the bell and the dog, right? He would feed the dog and ring the bell every single time, and it got to the point that he could ring the bell and the dog's mouth would salivate. And I found myself, anytime I talked about McDonald's and breakfast burrito, my mouth would water. And like, we've been hardwired to think that we need to eat every 2 or 3 hours. We've been hardwired to think that we need 3 meals a day. We've been hardwired. And so noon pops around. You don't have to hear a bell. Noon pops around. You're like, I'm kind of hungry. Well, it's lunchtime. Might as well eat. But what if you're not hungry? And I have a bad habit of eating when I'm not hungry. The other stray that I would do would be like Chinese buffet places where I would stray a little bit, with the rice and of course, all the cornstarch that they put in all those foods and the sauces are not good for you. So my weight loss plateau went from plateau to weight gain. So fast forward to Matt's of this year, I was at my heaviest, 299. Now, because of my spiritual journey, I go through what they might consider Lent. This year I went without coffee and without alcohol. That was the other change. I started to drink more. Not like to the level of some people that we know on YouTube, but to the point that I was having maybe a beer every other night during dinner, or I was having several beers on the weekend each night. And then it turned into harder liquor. And I have had struggles with alcohol in the past, like years before I was driving. And so I thought, you know what? Let's get rid of alcohol. I got rid of coffee for a minute. Now I do drink coffee now, but it has been seriously decreased. And I believe I'm going to go without alcohol. I'm going to be alcohol free right now. Now that Easter's here, Easter has come and gone, and I don't think I'm going back to alcohol, because what I'm discovering is for your health, your mental health and your physical health, it is destroying you metabolically as well. And so these are the elements that allowed me to gain 41 more pounds from my lowest weight. So when I got back from Matt's, I was 299 on my weight. I'm now back down to 286, and I'm losing even more. I've been going on walks almost every day that I've been home when I can, if dispatch isn't too busy. I've been doing 16 to 23 hour fasts. And so I've been reading or listening to an audiobook. So a couple of years ago, someone bought me a generous anonymous subscriber bought me an Audible subscription for the year, and I utilized it. I downloaded a bunch of books, but I'm finally now getting through the rest of them since I'm not driving. One is by Jason Fung, The Guide to Fasting, and I'm learning a lot through it, and I'm realizing that while I stayed fairly low carb for the most part, other than a few more cheats than I normally would have allowed with the bread and the starchy potatoes, what I found I was eating too often. I was back to eating 3 meals a day. I wasn't doing any kind of fasting or intermittent fasting. And so what I've learned about myself is that I'm insulin resistant. And even though if I could just get a little bit stricter on my low carb and the keto thing, I can also decrease the frequency of eating, and it's already shown results. I feel better, because, when I was at Matt's, I knew that all my stuff that I was going without for 40 days was off the table, right? I knew that going in. I knew that I wasn't going to abstain from, drinks and good food. Now, I still shied away from most of the sugar, but Thunder Funding, they're really good about, they just treat us really well. And I realized that I was going to have an extravagant weekend, and man, did my body feel it. I had trouble sleeping every night that I was at the hotel. I felt bloated. I just felt gross, man, just gross. But I still bought the breakfast tacos at Love's. I still bought, I didn't have to buy the things that I did. I didn't have to eat the things that I did, but I found myself doing it anyways. I had quite a few White Russians and beers, thanks to all the extravagant dinners we had. But excuse me. But it really affected me. It really did. And hello, Cat. You want in? And I realized that this was a wake-up call for a change. And I'll get to the comments here. When I got back, I went hardcore. I went back off the coffee until Easter. I've been drinking green tea, which has been great. And I made it real strict to not eat until noon. And then now I've progressed to not eating until 3 or 4. And I feel like I'm back on track. I feel like I'm back to my old self. And so there's stress levels and cortisol levels that And that's the problem with being a truck driver, is that your cortisol levels are always, if you're a business owner, if you're an owner operator, if you're a fleet owner, if you are a truck driver in general, you have this higher element of cortisol than say your average person, because you're driving down the road, you're looking for other drivers, you're looking for parking, you're checking into shippers and receivers that don't like you, um, and you go into these truck stops, which are basically convenience stores with truck parking, and there's all these temptations, all these things that are designed to make you eat, to make you stress eat, to make you hit that dopamine hit, the vaping, the cigars and cigarettes, and the tobacco, and all these things are designed to hit your dopamine wiring. And you don't sleep right, you don't eat right, so your cortisol levels are all jacked up being a truck driver. And that's why, go to any truck show, go to any truck stop, and you'll see that truck drivers are not the healthiest people. There's a reason for that. There are many reasons for that, and it's not just because you're lazy. It's not because you sit and do nothing all day. It's because of the external environments that we are subjected to, and it's hard. It's kind of like being an alcoholic at a bar. You could sit there and say, "Oh, I'm not drinking," but then you got to hang out at the bar all day, because you work there or something. That would take a lot of willpower. That would take a lot of having your mental game on the A game, and that's difficult. I know it's difficult, and it's not until you lose your CDL. It's not until have to have a cane to walk to the truck stop. It's not until that you have to have a ladder to get up and down the steps, or you have to have a ladder to get in and out of the trailer. And even that doesn't sound the alarm. And so, you know, you see these fentanyl addicts, you see news reports of their skin literally rotting off in the streets, and they can't help themselves. And so when you sit there and you're 400, 500 pounds, your legs are purple, possibly losing body parts, losing your CDL, and you still eat this processed crap. That is addiction. They have a hold on you. That is by design, because how many people do you know that are on medication? How many people do you know that are on diabetic insulin? Type 2 diabetes is 100% diet related. And there's 65% of the country that is under some kind of medication of one kind or another. All this lunacy that you see online, all these TikTok liberal stuff, all this the if it's not destroying you physically, it's destroying you mentally. As far as and I believe it's based around the food. I believe it's based around the chemicals that they spray on the plants. I believe it's based on. I mean, just watch TV for an hour and you'll see nothing but food ads and prescription drug ads. I mean, the system, people like during the vid, they were like, oh man, it's population control with these, the shots, blah, blah. They've already got the population control. You have people confused of what they are. You have testosterone that levels have dropped. You have more women that don't ever want to have kids, and they don't want to do it they can't do it physically, or they don't want to do it mentally. There's your population control. But we need to make as much money as possible. So we'll just kill you slowly so we can reap the rewards with your processed foods, We can reap the rewards with your medication. We can reap the rewards through your insurance on your cancer treatments, on your arthritis treatments, on the nursing home when you get Alzheimer's, which is type 3 diabetes, by the way. And then when you die, we'll get a big cut of your funeral as well. You're nothing but a cash cow. And once you see that, that's a harsh reality. When you go to a grocery store, realize that 100% of what you know has been wrong. And when you look at 95% of the grocery store and none of it is good for you, in fact, it's designed to make you sick slowly while you're fat and happy. Once you realize that, it's depressing. I'm 51 years old, and like everything that I've ever been taught was just wrong. You've been lied to. And that's a harsh reality. It's kind of like, let's say you get married and you find out that your spouse has this whole second family, this whole second life, and it's been going on for 20 years. That would be you would mourn that loss. You would mourn that everything that you believed was a lie. Everything that you believed was completely thrown out the window, and that's what it's like. And that's something that's been a harsh. What do you call? That's been tough, man. I go to the grocery stores, I get depressed because, oh wow, this looks like it would be good. Wow, this looks like that might taste good. And it's only through anger and resentment that I don't give into that. But every now and then I would, and I started to watch my weight creep up. And so on the science aspect, I'm insulin resistant. Well, what's insulin resistance? Well, think about, how antibiotics work, right? If you get strep throat, they give you antibiotics. And sometimes the antibiotics don't work because the virus has become resistant to those antibiotics. And so what do? You pump more antibiotics and hope that it clears out. But sometimes the best treatment is no antibiotics and let the body fight it on its own. Insulin works the same way. Your body becomes resistant to insulin. So what do? They prescribe you insulin. And so you're essentially making the problem better at first, but worse in the long run. And so now we got a cash cow. We'll keep giving you something that we know is not going to work after a while, so you need more. Just like, one beer is not enough, now you need 5 beers. One shot isn't enough, now you need 5 shots of, whatever liquor floats your boat. And so the body becomes insulin resistant. Well, how do you decrease insulin? You just don't eat. You stop eating. That's fasting. It's not a starvation diet, because what happens is like the Weight Watchers thing. You're doing calorie restriction, which is different. If you eat 3,000 calories a day over the course of 6 times a day, over 6 meals, that's worse for you than just eating the 3,000 calories down in one sitting. And I am a testament to that. And what you find out is after you fast, you only want 2,000 calories. And so that's what our bodies are designed to do. All the religions have fasting for a reason. Think back of the days when we had to hunt for food. Well, you needed the extra energy, you needed the extra clarity to hunt. And that's what you get with fasting. You get mental clarity, you get spiritual clarity with fasting. And that just tells me that if you only eat what God intended, then and you do it in a way that only nature has intended, then eventually the stronghold, the stranglehold that that these pharmaceutical and food companies have on you uh, will slowly be released, and it's a great feeling. And so I've been feeling rejuvenated, and it's not about perfection; it's about progress. So let's go to the comments. Luckily, there's not as many people in here, so it's easier for me to catch up on the comments. Shannon, good morning. From New Jersey, getting unloaded, then heading to Michigan for the weekend. Good deal. You probably don't remember, but I had mentioned keto to you back in the 2015 or 16 in the Periscope days. Yeah, Trucker Seals, and that was when I do remember that. And I was very skeptical at first with the keto because I hate diet terms. I hate labels, right? This new generation of people that they have to have labels. They have to be I identify as, blah 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 blah. Why do you need a label, right? You're just whatever, right? And it wasn't until I know, like, stories like yours and other people in the trucking industry that were able to lose weight as truck drivers, because I always use that excuse. Well, if I wasn't a truck driver, I could lose weight. No, if I wasn't a truck driver, I'd maybe make it to the gym more often, but it would just allow me to ignore my gym membership more often. So, 2016 is when I was. 2016, 17 was when I was at my heaviest, 388 pounds, I believe. So I'm back down to the 100-pound loss by being at 286 now, and I feel great. I feel just completely awesome, and I appreciate you, Trucker Seals, and I apologize if you felt that I was ignoring you in those days, because I probably was. Yeah, it was pretty new. It's new, but it's old. It's actually just the natural way of eating that we were lied to in the mid 80s. And Ken Berry says it in the seminar that I posted. It was the 80s that they did this low fat 6 meals a day to increase your metabolism. Well, you know what increases your metabolism? Fasting, not starvation diets. And there's a difference. And I encourage you to go down those YouTube rabbit holes to figure out what the difference is, because it's hard for me to explain. If I know I'm going out for supper, I try either fast that day, drink way more water, or try to preview menu to choose best healthy choice on menu. CDM, that's a great point. You got to plan ahead, and that's what I do. It's not that I let 100% loose at Matt's, but I just didn't remove the bun with the burgers. I didn't. I drank alcohol. I did have some fries, stuff like that. Congratulations, Steve. That's a good idea, broker. Yeah, and look, our family, especially my in-laws, they love all the extravagant foods. Our food holidays are pretty extravagant. And so what I'll do is I'll bring pork rinds so I don't eat on the chips. I'll bring summer sausage so I don't eat the snack foods. I might indulge in a piece of cake if it's someone's birthday, but very little. And I'll drink a lot of water, and I won't eat, like you said, for the day. Now, when it comes to restaurant stuff, I'll still do the Chinese buffets, but I try to stay away from the starchy stuff. But that's hard, and that's that. I know I'm insulin resistant because that stuff triggers an insulin response, and that starchy food's designed to taste good and it turns into sugar, and that's why if you go eat Chinese, you're not full, because it's triggering insulin. Insulin tells you need more food, right? Insulin triggers tell you that you're not full yet, and that's why that food is so dangerous, because you literally are destroying the ability to know when you're full and when you're not. I mean, your stomach's only this big. Think about that. I don't care how big boned you are, right? My weight loss plateaued, and I went to one good sized carnivore meal per day, and the weight is falling off fast. Trucker Seals, I know several people that are doing that, and that's kind of where I'm at. Pigtail, I feel better, and I'm saving $45 a day in food while in the truck just eating a single meal. Times are tough right now, right, Pigtail? Money is tight. And so a lot of people that say that you can't eat keto or you can't eat carnivore because it's too expensive, if you're doing it right, you're able to actually eat less. I find if I fall off the food wagon, I need to work out. And that's something I'm trying to get to. But when you're 300, 400 pounds, working out is a difficult option. So, but I think that the weight training thing is important. And then just a mild walk after you eat will be, if you do anything, go for a 15-minute walk after you eat. At the very least, 15 minutes. It's like just stroll around the truck about 10 times. You know, one of the things I used to do when I was at a shipper that I knew was going to take a while, but I had to watch the light when I got a green light, like Niagara and Oklahoma City. Their docks would have these huge spaces between them. Wasn't a whole lot of traffic. It's not like they're going to put a trailer in that spot. But I had to keep an eye on the light, because once you get a green light, you're good to go. And I would just walk in a circle so I could see the light, and maybe listen to an audiobook or listen to a YouTube video while I'm doing this walk in a circle. People probably thought I was nuts. Like, why is that guy walking in a circle? This weird long-haired dude. So when eating like that, Pigtail, one can afford better quality food too. Absolutely, Dar. Part 2, I find sweating as a way to get my body back to feeling neutral. Sweat at least once a day if possible. That's a good idea. Just saying good morning. Going back to the party chat, Mr. Wilson. Thank you. When I started watching Dr. Ken, I immediately moved all vegetable oils from the house. We now cook with olive oil and real butter. No more of that margarine stuff either. That stuff is poison. This trucking life, absolutely. My wife has done the same. We use olive oil, and that's it. Anything canola oil, like those protein drinks that you're drinking, Ensure and all that stuff. Look at the ingredients, man. It's all seed oil. It's basically either sugar or fake sugar and seed oil with a little bit of whey protein, which is not great protein. Yeah, killing us softly. Yep. The oils and the sugar are designed to mess up your hormone system, right? And being overweight is a hormonal imbalance. Don't believe me? Listen to Jason Fung. Listen to Ken Berry. And if you look at what's going on in society, Budweiser, hormones are all jacked up. If that isn't evidence, I don't know what else is. What do you think about us being healthier in the 50s, and then the government started corn subsidies, and they started putting corn syrup and everything? I heard something about that. Come on with it. Yes, that is absolutely true. Look up Coca-Cola conspiracy. Coca-Cola, when it comes to the Food and Drug Administration, the fox is watching the hen house. I encourage you to watch a show called Food Inc. It's a documentary. I believe it's on some streaming services, and it will show you that 6 companies own 90% of the food in the world, and it's their CEOs that have become government regulation employees. The cigarette companies, when they saw the writings on the wall in the 60s and 70s, said, you know what? We got to get into a different platform. Think about this. As a business owner, as an entrepreneur, I've had to think about, well, okay, what if my truck breaks down and I can't afford to fix it? How else can I make money? Well, I'll put my hands in this. I'll put my hands in this. I'll put my hands in this. And you diversify, right? So what the cigarette companies decided to do is like, hey, let's get into the processed food world. We can use the same tactics. Let's get it. I mean, one of the things when it comes to the whole Budweiser thing is that employee that they hired to be a spokesperson, whether you agree with that or not, that doesn't matter. Let's look at this aspect, okay? The people that would be attracted to that kind of marketing are between the ages of 15 and 19. That's the demographic that they were aiming for. They want to give beer to your kids. Think about that. Remember when they had to get rid of Joe Campbell? Remember when the cigarette companies had to, remember when they made it very, very hard for you to find those candy cigarettes that you can find in candy stores? And Budweiser even said, we want to get rid of the frat, boy mentality, blah, 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 blah. Well, who's younger than frat boys? The 14 to 18-year-olds that are not legally allowed to drink. They're aiming for your kids. Alcohol destroys your brain. Alcohol destroys your metabolism. Alcohol makes your depression better, or so it seems, but it actually makes it worse. Alcohol decreases your hormonal balance, and so therefore you're all jacked up on whatever, and you can't think right, you can't eat right, you can't sleep right, but hey, that beer tastes good because they support my cause. That is marketing, and they're going after your kids because they know that, just like all the weed clinics that have popped up, they want you fat, happy, sedated, and to buy in their bullshit. It's that simple. It's that simple. Take all those stupid arguments out. Take all the transphobe and all that stuff out. Take all that out. They're literally trying to destroy your health physically and mentally. It's true, though, with it, as kids, there weren't as many chubby people around. Biggest thing is the inflammation and insulin control. If we simply just eat what God provided us to eat, none of these issues would exist. That's the truth. Who thought nature is perfect? The caveat to that, though, Shannon, is the chemicals that they're spraying on the vegetables. The glyphosates, the Roundup, the Roundup. That stuff is affecting us as well. So you have to be careful with that stuff. And a lot of vegetables aren't meant to be eaten. Like, you can't just go in the woods and eat anything. Some of that stuff will kill you. Plants have natural defenses. That's why a lot of people report success on a carnivore diet. Because you might, like, I have allergies, right? Any of you guys have allergies? And they might be pollen-based. Well, pollen is a plant, right? Pollens create plants. Plants don't want to be eaten, but they can't like kill you with teeth or nothing. So what do? They put out chemicals. So you have to be real careful on that. Some people can eat kale and be okay, and other people can't eat kale because it'll make them break out. That's the plant's defense system. So that's why a lot of people report success with the carnivore diet. Are corporate profits hurting us? It's how they're getting those profits that are hurting us. Now it seems norm, right? I remember the food pyramid that the FDA came up with that no one could eat that much bread in a day, all corn based. Exactly. Put the two and two together, right? SST, what's up? Dar says she don't eat bread. Good deal. Wilbur, what's up? Good morning, beautiful. Oh, you're probably talking to your wife. I let loose at Matt's. Bad girl. Got back on my keto fast immediately after. That's what I've done. Everyone drink apple cider vinegar with the mother. Take or add cinnamon. Take turmeric daily. These minimize the insulin spikes. That's true. Walking is excellent, says CDN. Walking after eating is the best thing you can do to have a healthy dump. That is true. I'm down to one meal a day, Boulder Woods. Excellent. So let's say you eat nothing but ribeyes, right? Ribeyes are expensive. Well, if a ribeye costs $12, throw some butter on it, and that fills you up. Eat for $12 a day. I guarantee you that 3 times in the truck stop for every meal is way more than that now. You can't even walk out of the truck stop without spending like $12. There was a couple of times when I was getting my food for the road at the Loves, and I was like, holy hell. Because again, guys, I haven't run that much since the big, huge increases on everything. So I was like, wow. But as a company driver or someone who can't control where they go, I understand that you can't make it to a Walmart. You don't get home every weekend to cook all your food and put it in the fridge. And so the less times you have to eat, the better. And it's easier to fast if you stay off the processed foods, if you become fat adapted, right? Big Pharma has done the same thing with prescription opioids, right? It's all about the kids, isn't that the old saying, right? Good morning, all. Hope everyone has a great day. So here's the confessional. I've creeped up 41 pounds, and I put 41 right on the fridge, and I put this magnet on it that was kind of a warning. And I'm reminded of that because what I found is that if I'm having a tough day with all the brokers, or if I'm dealing with a situation that is stressful, out of habit, without even thinking about it, I get up and I open the fridge, even though I'm not hungry. I'm like, so I've had to be mindful and like, well, if I was driving, I wouldn't be able to do this. So why am I doing it now? And that's where the weight difference came in. That's where the plateau turned into weight gain. And and so it's so I've decided to reset. I've gone to what you might label as ketovore because I'm trying to figure out which vegetables don't like me. Now, a lot of the carnivores will like fruit. After 3 years, I still get sugar cravings because, again, I was insulin resistant. It runs in my family. We are very sensitive to starchy and sugary foods, and I know several people in my family that are my extended family that are addicted to sugar. I mean, you can see it. My dad learned that. My dad got up to 300 pounds and then went on the military weight loss plan when he was drafted for Vietnam, and he never gained his weight back. He was always an average sized man, and he hated processed foods. But looking back as a kid, a lot of the foods that we ate were made with corn oil because he just didn't know back then. And now I cook with bacon grease, butter, and maybe some olive oil, and that's it. That's it. with both feet. Good morning. Bone broth, says Bowl of Woods. Yes, bone broth. I have started the MCT oil stuff again. So about noon, when I'm feeling like I'm a little bit hungry, I might take a swig of that. But I'm trying to do that less and less. I've been watching this doctor that I just stumbled upon. I'm trying to remember his name. See if I can find it. Cat notes out. Dr. Sten Ekberg. It's one of the videos I watched. He's had now he tends to take a while to get to the point, but just go to the chapters and you can skip. But he's had some really good information. I like his message delivery. What I like about Ken Berry and Sean Baker and this guy I just mentioned is they're not like people like Thomas Delore and Dr. Berg tend to make you think that you have to be perfect. You can overthink it. These guys are just like, look, do this while you're fasting, drink this, try to avoid that. And Ken Berry will even tell you that bologna is better than, a Twinkie. Processed meat isn't ideal, but it's better than anything else in the store. If you're in a pinch if you're at the Loves, it's better than that taco. It's better than that cheeseburger with the bun that's this big with a meat patty that's this big. It's better than the seed oils that are made to, for those fries at that McDonald's that is taking forever for you to get while you're sitting there at the fuel island, right? So that's my confessional is I've strayed a little bit and I've paid the price. And I look back at what was I doing 2 years ago when I lost all that weight? Well, I wasn't drinking, number one. And number two, I was pretty religious about avoiding certain foods, and I strayed from that. And I was eating only once or twice a day back then. And I'm back to eating 3 times a day, pretty much. So I started to see signs of being fat adapted again, which has been kind of nice. And I'm getting that clarity because here's the thing. Here's the other confessional. My dispatch revenue is down by 2/3. I originally it was at half, but we're down. No, we're at half for now, but it's getting ready to be down to 2/3. Down 2/3. Because the rates suck. If you have a $5,000 a month truck note and you're in the spot market, it ain't gonna work. I will flat out tell you it ain't gonna work. Unless you're an extraordinary circumstance or person, it's going to be a challenge. Let's do it that way. Let's say it that way. And people are struggling. And when loads that used to pay $1,000 a day are now paying like $600 a day on the average, that's revenue lost for everybody. So there is a possibility of me going back in the truck unless something else pops up that allows me to make money while sitting at home. I need to be at home. I've got a daughter's getting ready to graduate. I've got a house closing that we're dealing with. I've got repairs around the house that need to be done. I've got uh, other things that I have to focus on that are potential money makers. So it's tough right now, and so I need to be on my A game mentally and spiritually, because financially it's going to get shaky, and physically you never know what the future brings. We've got an election year coming up. We've got saber rattling that's happening, and you never know what's going to be needed to survive a situation. And so I feel like I need to be back on my A game to deal with all of that. And that's it. That's the reality. Asparagus. I love asparagus, says Dar. It's been cheap lately. Makes your pee smell funny. Almost said taste funny. That's gross. Makes your pee smell funny. God, I keep saying that. I used to think I was allergic to asparagus because I had a bad reaction to it when I was a kid. But it's a form of grass, really. So it's probably not great for you. It's the septic smell that it gives out. But anyways, that's my confessional. So I'm back on track. So on this channel, I'm going to start heading in that direction when it comes to the health stuff. A lot of people don't want to hear that. My numbers show that. I did a 40-day carnivore challenge as a truck driver, and those videos have not done any good. I mean, I think a couple of people have been inspired by them, but for the most part, the analytics on them suck. I still did them. I still did the full 40. I didn't give up. I just like, well, my numbers suck. So, I'm not like, there's some people out there that are getting angry about their numbers, and sometimes it's just what it is. But I put those 40 days of carnivore videos out for myself as much as I did it for you guys. And I realize that sounds extreme. Like, you eat nothing but meat? That's weird. But I guarantee you that if you took a time machine with a bunch of the little Debbie stuff and the candy bars and the loaves of modern bread that doesn't even go moldy because of all the preservatives they put in them, and you went back in time to like I don't know, Jesus days, like 2,000 some odd years ago, and they would get sick off of that. There are YouTubers that literally will that like eat clean all their lives, and they'll do something like eat McDonald's or something, they'll get sick. We are not meant to eat the food that we're given, and unfortunately, that's 90% of the grocery store. If you live in a deep inner city, food deserts as they call them, it is hard to get Whole Foods. Gee, is that by design, you think? You can get liquor, you can get fentanyl, but you can't get a good steak. Think about that. Can't get for you vegans, you can't get fresh vegetables in these places. But man, you can get lottery tickets and a fifth of Jack Daniels, right? You think that's not by design? The government doesn't like you other than your pocketbook. And if you're on the state assisted stuff, they own you. If you're in huge debt, the debtors, they own you. If you are having to take medication every day, they own you. And so you want to do everything you can to break free from that. Because if you don't, well, you're going to die, pretty much. Now, we all going to die, right? A lot of people like, they'll smoke their cigarette like, oh, we got to die sometime. It's about quality of life. It's about not stressing if you can afford your medications at the end of the month. It's about making sure your kids don't have to go on any medications and be tied to them for the rest of their life. It's about the ability to react well when people outside of your realm are losing their shit. Is pretty much it. That's what it's about. And maybe living a longer quality life instead of pumped up on drugs and medications and fake vitamins. All because you couldn't put that candy bar down. Think about that. Thanks for watching.